Hello guys, it's your boy Teeny Anime and I'm back with another video. And today's video is going to be part 3 to what if Naruto was kind of like depressed. And like I said before in the last video, the link will be in the description if you want to read it yourselves. And let's just get into the video. I hurriedly ran through the forest of death, jumping from tree to tree. The gravity shields I placed on myself working in full effect as I ran. Ever since I had healed, I've been training myself hard every day, pushing myself 10 times more than the day before. Sometimes within a few hours of relaxing, which my relaxing consistently consists of eating and sleeping. I haven't done much of lounging around for no particular reason. I don't even go to the village as often anymore, not even taking the test Gigi had wanted. While I was recovering from my mashup over my birthday, I spent my time inside my escape with Kurama, training myself through the way, waiting for the moment I could go back to being my own self. Well, something didn't go exactly as planned. The wind from the crisp fall air nipped at me in my skin as I continued to make my way around the forest. The sound of my feet hitting the ground and the wood as I did. However, as I was doing my laps, a familiar chakra signature popped up, causing me to halt for a moment before facing towards that person. My eyes widened in slight realization as to where they were. The fight reaction in me taking hold of me quickly, as I leaped from tree to tree to get away, but was stopped by a hand reaching out to grab me by the back of my shirt. Naruto. My eyes widened as I turned to look at the silver-haired ninja. A cheerful smile plastered on my face under his mask, and I seen it because I was only visible. What's this nonsense? I've seemed to be mistaken about you not coming home for a week. Surely you haven't forgot of our deal. At least always checking in every 24 hours. It's if you plan to stay out, he asked, to me happily in his own opinion. I gulped, nodding my head fiercely in no particular reason. My gut turned over in an uneasy knowing exactly what I have done. Since leaving the hospital, Kakashi was placed in charge of taking care of me as well as being my own guardian. He took care of me even while I healed, looking after me day and night, even when I suffered from horrible nightmares that caused me to thrash open and reopen my wounds. The wounds normally Kurama could heal but had a hard time doing due to all that happened on that night. I could hear the fox laughing to himself at my predicament. Finding it to be amusing, Kakashi hold on me didn't loosen as he carried me out of the forest of death. Not once did I release my seal of my gravity weights, doing it to spite the man. A small scowl made its way to my lips as we entered the village. My face darkened with each glance from a person. Kakashi placed me down, waiting for me to continue on beside him. My face instantly turned up into a fake expression of happiness as we walked into the town. My hands firmly placed behind my head. Come on, let's go. You start the academy tomorrow, Kakashi said. Understanding my discomfort, the villagers started at me with hate, fear, and disgust, leaving a dark impression on me once again. Many different expressions from each person who bothered to look at me. This was something I could get used to. I couldn't get used to yet. Even when we made it back to Kakashi's home, I could still feel the burning gaze of everyone on me, and the very fresh memories that haunted me. 7 years later, going through the academy was torture in its own right. It was so painfully slow, especially when you yourself was way beyond advanced from your generation. I was a master in many different areas, earning titles behind the scenes, such as that of an Ambu. Even when Kakashi advised me to just stay as a student, I wanted more. I couldn't stand who I was, weak and helpless. So with extreme training and help from Kurama, I learned to become a powerful shinobi. One that was feared in many nations, one who could protect or destroy anyone in my path. However, what I did was for selfish reasons. I simply did it to protect myself, to save another night of nightmares and hope I could sleep, to not end up like I had my 6th birthday. I was a shinobi with great power, and I planned to use it only for myself and only for the people who I cared about most, Kurama and Kakashi. My power was my own and mine alone, but I wouldn't object to using it for them if they asked. Yet I hid it all behind a mask. Why? To spare the villagers of a heart attack, of what was sure to be panic if they found out the Kyuubi vessel was indeed intelligent, strong, and able to destroy whatever he pleased. I did it to spare them, something that they never once did for me. Every day I pulled a fake smile, an irritantly dumb personality with hopes of becoming Hokage to save myself from the villagers' heartache. Deciding I would let the villagers do as they pleased with reason. Kakashi, however, wasn't okay with that. He scolded me day after day, believing I shouldn't let myself live like that. But it was better that I did. It was simpler that way. In return, I was able to live amongst the villagers somewhat peacefully. Besides the occasion, since comments from people, or once in a while, a small bidding for a few people at a time. I was no longer like my younger years. To be honest, I was okay with it for now. It was something I wanted to stick until I graduated. And it just so happens today that I plan to graduate. I didn't plan to get rid of the mask, contrary to what Kakashi wanted. He's still pretty upset I act how I do instead of being me, but understands why our deal was what he would expose me to my true nature, but wouldn't treat me like the fool I pretended to be. I agreed. The only things that would stop is I would start avoiding the beatings instead of letting them happen. It's not like they do it actually to hurt me anymore. I can't just avoid every single one. People will still get suspicious, and that's too much work to deal with. I sighed heavily, thinking of my next moves as I walked to the academy, planning everything out step by step in my head, thinking of team possibilities and other such things that could happen within the few next hours, and some things that could happen from years from now. It was something I often enjoyed doing when I wasn't doing anything in particular, especially since I was the only one walking to my destination and not something that required my attention. I could feel that I could feel the heated glares from people around me, giving me a glare of just pure hatred. The most common was the anger and hate glare, once in a while, and it was truly a sight that only happened once in a while. I would get a look of pity and sadness. Most of those came from the Hinata Hyuga. Our outside people who didn't know me, then the stares I get from the Naras. They were a different. They were different. They were a different case of everyone from everyone. Their stares got easier to deal with as the years progressed, but was still something I couldn't stand. I was plagued with the memories of looks brought to me. Even with the power I've gained, the mental part they've left imprinted on me was not so easily erased. Another sigh escaped my lips, something that tends to happen often. I knew I shouldn't have walked the streets, and I knew I shouldn't have listened to in on what the villagers had to say. I heard he's in a class that's supposed to graduate and become Genin. We can't have a demon as one of our shinobi. He's a danger to us all. The fox bat should die off already. His presence in this village is a nuisance and unnecessary. Monster, demon, worthless, nuisance, waste of space. Insulting comments and words flowed out in patterns of many forms and hate. Everything hitting me inside, both in anger and in sadness. I was angry because they mistaken me for Karama, who was a true person that did all those things to the village. But to them, I was him, and it angered me to have lived my life like this, fake and not true to myself, just to please them, so I could allow myself to live without going rogue. Then it was saddening. Kurama had not meant in any way to harm the village. He had been controlled into harming everyone. Everything was screwed up. Nothing made sense, and I was sure it never would. Not when they get over the attack and took place 12 years ago. Not when they can get over the fact that I'm human and not some beast born from hell. Not once I harmed any villager intentionally without orders. Not once did I give them reason to attack, but I guess this is how it was going to be, at least for now. Soon, I arrived at the academy where I was walking in holding my chin high, a stupid grin happily placed on my face, a very convincing one at least. I placed my hands behind my head as I walked down the hall, seeing many jonin and students hanging around in the halls before classes would start. My classroom wasn't too far as I quickly approached, sliding the door open, walking in without uttering a sound, not feeling up to be loud or annoying at the moment. The room was partly full, many people sitting down at desk already, and some idly standing by up from chatting, or some standing by others who sat. I casted my gaze around the room, looking for a spot I could sit. Noticing all the seats in the very back was taken up already. I looked over to see Sasuke sitting alone and staring off into no particular direction. Deciding he would be an okay choice, I walked briskly to the seat without a word. My smile was faded back into thin lines, but to a point, I still looked energetic and happy without smiling. Even if even if I felt like slipping into my bed and not moving for a week. Sasuke glanced at me in a mild acknowledgement in which I returned without any words, both of us sitting content silent until the sound of screeching was heard. The familiarity of it instantly kicking me into realization that I was sitting by Sasuke Uchiha, the youngest boy in the academy at this moment, to have his very own fan club, and his two biggest fans, Sakura and Ino, the loudest of them all. Well, Sakura more than Ino. I quickly glanced for an escape route, not wishing to end up in the middle of their spats called arguments, but was met with the unfortunately end. My ears rang from the loud mouth females who insisted on imitating a banshee. Naruto, get away from my Sasuke-kun. I wanted to sit beside him. Can't do it, forehead. I'm sitting beside Sasuke. They both butted heads and in an argument which took place for hours. My face twisted into annoyance for a split second before I grinned, landing into my hand that was propped up on a table. Sasuke shared and looked of annoyance, but unlike me, he continued to show it. I quickly stood up, not wishing to deal with them so early in the goddamn morning. Sakura-chan, Ino-chan, I called, making both names equal, as to not deal with anything that might offend one another. Sasuke giving me a look that would equally desperation if he wasn't in a chia, silently asking me to move from where I sat. You guys can have the seat. Before I could finish, I felt a punch from both girls. A shock look crossing their faces, as expected in every way. After all, I gotten too close to very angry women. Not the best choice in my book of things I've done, especially with my mask intake. I went flying to the ground, my head instantly feeling like it has been split as a headache began to make its way up, a groan of discomfort leaving my mouth, but in the end, it hadn't hurt as much as it could have. Since they have no intention of really seriously hurting one another, that or the punches were too weak, even when I let them hit me directly. They looked at me with wide eyes as the room grew quiet, a look of shock going around the room. Naruto, are you alright? Asked, bending down to look at my face. I smiled half-heartedly before standing up with a huff. Yeah, it's fine. You guys can have the seat, like I was about to say. I gave them my nicest smile I couldn't muster up after being slugged by them too. Though I wouldn't lie if I had said I didn't say it without venom in my words. I walked away to sit in a random seat waiting for the test to begin. The third will pay dearly for making me go to this academy, I said as I went to sleep. And yeah, anyways guys, that's gonna be the end of this video. Well, this part, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, the link will be down in the description if you want to read yourself. And subscribe, like, and peace.